Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Undercurrent. I'm Christy Molliker. Well, it's fair to say here in Australia we have a love of camping, especially in our great outback. But what would you do if you got stranded out there? Well, next up, Juna finds out.
Bob Cooper's first taste of survival in the wild began in his teenage years. His careers in fishing and diving provided him with first-hand knowledge about working with nature. Bob and his team have helped many Australians to learn how to embrace and respect our wildlife instead of being afraid of it.
So Bob, what inspired you to write your survival guide?
It was my contribution to people having a safer and with safety is a more enjoyable trip into the outback, overseas, a day walk or a long expedition. To share my knowledge with as many people as I can for everyone's benefit.
Bob's book, Outback Survival, is full of tips on how we can deal with even the most frightening situations, which might include snakes or even the dreaded stonefish.
The biggest reason we get away with non-fatal snake bites is venom to snakes is a precious material. It's only injected when they have to. It's a voluntary action. It's there for pre-digesting their prey and for incapacitating their prey. It's got nothing to do with incapacitating humans. And because all our snakes are members of a group called the elepid snakes, their fangs are short, so any venom that does get injected will travel through the lymphatic system. And the application of the compression bandage, like the ones we've got over there, have ensured that not a single death by snake bite has occurred in Australia once the bandage has been applied.
I've been involved in being stranded in the desert a couple of times. 3 maydays on the ocean, 1 helicopter mishap. And the helicopter mishap was probably the most spectacular because flying at 500 feet and having the motor start to stop is pretty scary. And the pilot saved our life by doing what they call a gyro rotate, and they let it fall and then level out just before impact, which I didn't know about. So I thought, here it is, this is the end. And then we were stranded in the Great Sandy Desert, and this was in 1982, so there was no EPIRBs and no satellite phones, and the battery had cooked itself, that's why we had to land. So between 36 and -3 during the day and night, we needed to get out of there, and I had to employ my survival skills. So as an instructor, I had to practice what I preached, and we walked out and we got help and we drove back in, and it didn't even make the media.
So where do you think would be a good place for beginners who've never been out into the bush before to start?
Attend a course if you can, and if not, do research. Read my book. There's an obvious answer, but the rehearse stuff, even if it's just a mind game, improves your chance of survival by at least 10%. And by reading books on survival and doing some research into the area they're going, then you at least can be prepared for what might go wrong. And it can. Anybody can have a mishap, and what we don't want to do is turn a mishap into a tragedy, which is what I've seen happen in our outback in Western Australia far too many times, and the outback of Australia too many times.
And where would be your favourite holiday spot in Australia?
The place I like to visit the most is the Great Sandy Desert in August when it's a beautiful flowering season, it's not hot. And the reason behind that is because I had so much experience out there and had some life-changing experiences, for instance that helicopter mishap. And the sheer isolation is just beautiful. But it's one of my favourite places. I haven't got an unfavourite place. I love them all.
Bob's book, Outback Survival, is available at all leading bookstores, and I, for one, definitely recommend it. This is Gina Hallsworth reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, next up on Undercurrent, a brand new natural cure for anorexia.
With such a high mortality rate of anorexia in Australia, We spoke to Madeline Bishop from the Australian Institute of Holistic Medicine about natural remedies for eating disorders.
There's more research evidence on the role of nutrition and mental health that is coming forward every day. Naturopaths have understood for a very long time that if you are not eating properly and you don't have the right nutrition, your body cannot work. You cannot build healthy brain chemicals if you don't have the raw materials. We're now seeing research evidence, scientific research evidence, to back that up. Everybody that comes in is going to be different, and there will be similarities with what's happening in their lives, but we have to treat them as individuals. We need to understand why they got where they are, what their underlying issues are, and working with them to look at the issues that surround why this is happening, and work with them, and if you want, journey with them through this to help them move to a place where they feel good about themselves, so they don't need to be abusing food to feel good.
Be free.
We also obviously correct nutritional deficiencies, because nutritional deficiency is a huge part of the development of these conditions and the maintenance. We know that research tells us that zinc deficiency can be a trigger for anorexia nervosa, and it can also be a sustaining factor in stopping women getting better. This is a multidisciplinary approach, and the only way you can deal with these conditions is in a multidisciplinary way. But it has to be a part of a bigger picture rather than just working on one therapy. There are a range of therapies. Herbal therapy can be very, very helpful. We look particularly at herbs that support the nervous system, that perhaps deal with anxiety and depression. Herbs that support the stress response. We need to support digestive function, and there's some lovely herbs for that, as well as nutrients. It could be herbal teas, it might be in tablet form. We might make a herbal tincture or a liquid up. We might look at things like flower essence therapy to help, that works more on an emotional level. Some people find that homeopathic medicine will help. I've seen acupuncture help, and even body therapies, massage, and with aromatherapy oils. That can help people relax and feel much better about themselves. Because we are body, mind and spirit, there's not much point in correcting a nutritional deficiency if we don't deal with why that person got there in the first place. And this is often about self-image and self-esteem. And often too, it's about helping people look beyond themselves and having the focus be less on self and maybe look at what they can do for other people. And I often encourage my girls, because it's usually women, but it's not always women, but usually I'm encouraging them to say, well, now that you're on the road to recovery, you can be really helpful to other people because you understand better than anybody else what it's like.
I'm Janae Tomlinson, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, it is fever pitch with all the games action in London at the moment. So this week for our Voxy segment, we decided to take to the streets of Perth to find out if you think our Australian athletes should be allowed to wear the Aboriginal flag.
Controversy at the Olympics when an Australian boxer wore an Aboriginal flag to his event, causing much confusion at the match. Let's find out what the people of Perth think.
I definitely think he should have been allowed to wear his native flag to show where he's from. It's his pride from his people, and I think it's a bit unfortunate that he got a bit of criticism. He's an Olympic athlete. I think he should be allowed to do what he wants.
I don't really mind that he's wearing an Aboriginal flag to the Olympics. He's representing his culture, so why not?
If he wants to wear his national flag, or if he wants to wear the Aboriginal stuff, let him. Why not?
I think he's entitled to wear the flag that he wants to wear, really.
The press just
put too much on it, really. I mean, if I was him, I'll wear it.
If you were to ask him, he'd probably say he wants to represent his people first, and then it's within that, like, Australia is already, I mean, associated with it directly anyway, so like it was still, you'll be able to gather meaning from it. I just don't think it's really worth a lot of fuss. If he wanted to do it, let him do it.
It's on Australia Day, you go down to the foreshore and you'll see everybody down there wearing Australia Day. Is that not causing a racial slur by us walking around wearing our flags?
And that's the whole point. I think everybody knows he is Australian. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he is Australian, but he's just showing, if that's showing like separatism from Australia, like I just think that's people just finding fault with Aborigines then, in like as a group of people. I don't think it's like everybody knows that he is Australian. Do you know what I mean? I think it's people being like kind of too PC, to be honest with you, politically correct. I don't think it's on.
I think it should be up to the individual athlete to decide which flag they take in, honestly. I suppose it would be great if he took in the Aboriginal flag and the Australian flag, you know, that would be great. But I think taking in the Aboriginal flag makes a statement, but it probably would have been a bit, you know, more politically astute for him to take in the Australian flag as well, but it's totally up to him.
I think it's just him making himself proud. I don't think it was to separate himself from the nation at all.
Well, it's like me wearing a photo of my mother on my shirt when I go in. You wear the team colours. You play any sport, you wear the team colours when you go out there, so that's what it's about. It's not about Aboriginal issue.
When people do that, it's not racism, it's just he wanted to do that for his family. And people that look at it like that, they're the ones that are stirring it up, love. I mean, they say that, you know, they're always saying things about racism, but racism, I don't think that was brought into it. I think he did it for his family. And if he wanted to do it like that, so be it. You know, he's someone with the traditions. He's a traditional Aboriginal person, and there's nothing wrong with the flag.
So obviously he's representing Australia, so can he not just show his own true colours just for, like, it's for his people at the end of the day, and they are the original species, I think. But I just think it's unfortunate that somebody who works so hard as an Olympic athlete gets some criticism. I don't think it's fair.
I guess Aboriginal is like Australian culture, so I don't see like what's the big deal about it.
Let's hope that we can put our differences aside and compete as one nation to succeed in the London Olympics 2012. I'm Poppy Moffat, reporting for Undercurrent.
Plenty more Undercurrent stories coming up after the break, so see you then.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program, absolutely.